band is they're on tonight. It's the Christian Fellowship Catholic band. They're here with all of the apostles.
Whoa! Stripers here?
They're here. They're singing "How Much They Love Jesus" right before the commercial break. We're going to review a big book tonight. It's epic, in the words of epic books, and it's not the Bible. It's a different book. It's about as big as the Bible, anyways.
Yes.
Who wrote it?
Written by Alan Moore, drawn by Dave Gibbons. This book, the greatness of this, in my opinion, cannot be overstated. I looked up that statement before I came out to the show tonight. I've read this book probably every year for the past 10 years, and it gets better every time. I find something new every time. Applause, thank you. This was actually rated by Time Magazine as one of the 100 best novels of the 20th century. Not best comic books, best novels.
It was rated number 59. Right behind number 58 was Little House on the Prairie, the Coming Home episode, on a trade paperback.
And it is one of Time Magazine's top 100 novels, and I think it probably won't be popular here. It should have been a novel.
Should have been a
Should have been a
novel.
novel.
What are you saying? What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that
He's saying Time
what are you trying
Life
to say,
Warner.
John?
I find Alan Moore's verbiage overwhelming.
Really?
Which is to say that he uses far too many words, and you may call that stylized. I think in many cases it's just superfluous.
That is a very big word.
What does that mean is the question.
Can
No,
we Wikipedia? Can we find that on the Wikipedia?
There is
Find out
actually-
if-
No,
It's
we
a
know.
book that's extremely dense in its politics, dense in the mythology of its superheroes, and I think will be inaccessible to a lot of first-time readers. And I don't think it's actually as relevant now as it was when it was first published. I mean, Cold War, paranoia, appeals to people like Father Guido Sarducci.
I just got to say one thing before we continue. Every book is a product of its time. No piece of art exists in a vacuum. I think the fact that this reflects the time that it was published is a strength, not a weakness, though, because it reflects the politics of the time. Thank you, Amy. and I don't think, in all honesty, I have read stuff by Alan Moore that is a little bit too verbose. To me, in
It's
all
so
honesty,
verbose.
I believe-
The
No, but you know what,
text
though?
covers up all of
no,
the
but
artwork.
the thing is, though,
Gibbons is useless to trying to cram things
of
into
every comics writer that I know, he's the one that not a single word is wasted. Even if there's a lot of it, not one of those words is wasted.
But what becomes wasted is the artwork. I think that somebody who's going to go that dense into a mythology should be writing novels instead of comic books.
I agree. The artwork inside of the book reminded me of a Bazooka Joe comic strip. It looked like it looked like a fight
Outrage.
between Bazooka Joe and the Pesty.
Listen, this
And I
this
wasn't
is
sure
the
who was
artwork-
going to win.
The artwork is a little bit antiquated. I think there's some nice pencils underneath, but the inking is definitely of its time. The color palette to me is so bland between the depth of the text and the look of the book. I kept wandering away from the page, which is not good
Well,
for a
they
comic
color
that
the one guy's jacket
demands
blue.
so much concentration.
This is what I'm gonna. All right, listen. I will not. You will not find a bigger fan of this book than myself. And being someone who's really into like comic book illustration, Gibson said, right now when the movie's coming out, right? So going to be a Watchmen film, right? Which I'm extremely excited about. But he was angry that Alan Moore couldn't be excited about it because it's going off his visual cues, which were visual cues that were fed to him by Alan Moore. Alan Moore was very
100 pages per
and
issue.
he was, and if you look at any of the scripts or anything that's online, he made him draw it this way specifically to tell this story. And you're right, it's a person that probably could have told the story better as a novel, but it never would have reached his demographic, never would have reached the market he wanted to reach. This book is absolutely amazing. It came out in 1985, 1986. It changed everything.
It doesn't appeal to me. It's obviously doing something well, and the fans, and there are many, I think are going to hate the movie because there's no way you can condense something
I'm hoping
tend to agree.
this
I think-
complex into 2 hours. You can't,
Zach-
I don't even think you could sit here and summarize the book in 2 minutes.
Well,
it's-
in all
it's-
honesty, Zack Snyder has done some entertaining movies, but there's not a director living that could do this movie.
No.
Stanley Kubrick maybe could have done this movie.
And it's
But-
possible. It's possible that the film will not do it justice, but I think that the film will tell a story that will be as incredible as this was in 1985.
I
You know,
don't-
like in 1985, comics were garbage.
The way, there are some great stories that were written, and you're never going to be able to really translate, unless you make a movie like 4 hours long or 5 hours long, like Ben-Hur or the Ten Commandments. Really, you can never capture the whole book. It's the greatest story ever told. But they had to make it like 4 different parts. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be the same. It's gonna be the same idea.
I think the greatest thing that it's done,
Exactly.
it has added complexity to a number of comics that have come afterwards. I think one series that will survive and appeal more to future generations will be the Marvel Civil War, which definitely has its roots in Watchmen.
Yeah,
It introduces such a sophisticated, dense superhero mythology that he ends up wasting too much time on exposition. There's a lot of exposition, and it just
But
to me,
I
it
didn't.
doesn't
But you
work.
know what? Here's the thing. I read this when I was 17, 10 years after it came out. That didn't affect me at all. It still blew me away, and I enjoyed it more than anything else I'd read before. And even today, it's fine for someone to read this and say, I'm not saying this is you, but for someone today to read it and say, oh, well, this isn't that good, but then to go on and enjoy all the things that have come from it, meaning Authority, the Ultimate Books, Civil War, and
Right.
pretty much everything else.
Reaganomics.
Yeah, no, but really all does come from this. So,
We have to know the rules before you can break them.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this
Well-
has the rules and breaks them at the same time. I can't outright condemn it because obviously.
I think this should be in every motel room. How about that?
Well, there is
Hello, Gideons. Here's your new message.
There really is only room for one book inside the hotel room, and that is for room service. That is really the only book in any motel room. For the people that are watching at home, you don't have to buy this book, which is thick and it has the really fancy red ribbon. It's like $100. This one is, I believe, it goes for around $20. For those people at home that want to research the book and read a little bit from Alan Moore and get comfortable with the story before the movie comes out.
It's going to be the next big comic book film that comes out. That's all I'm going to tell you. Iron Man, Batman, blah, 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 Spider-Man. This is going to be the next big one.
Myself,
So I'm
I'm going to put all of my money, and it's against the Catholic faith to gamble, but I'm going to put all of my money on a Little House on the Prairie Coming Home episode. Mike has a suggestion for the next show. We're going to review an Alan Moore book.